Hi, everybody. Happy Saturday. Welcome to another session with me. I'm Juliet. This is Cherry on Tag. And we are doing 6 weeks of job readiness, and we're having a lot of different guests. This week has been all about portfolios. We have Aisha with how to present your work as a developer. We have Janine on how to talk about your work as a PM. And today we have Anna talking about UX designers. So if you're joining us via LinkedIn, YouTube, or ADP list, we're so excited to have you here. I know it's early if you are in the West Coast like us, but we're so happy you joined your morning with us. I just want to show you where we are at the moment. For the job readiness support space. So like I was telling you, right now we are week 3, portfolio development. Week 4, we're going to talk about resume and LinkedIn optimization. Week 5, networking and industry engagement. So for next week, we are going to have Monica, super excited, resume and LinkedIn optimization. And after that, we're going to have Gabs with networking, make it easy. I love networking. If you know me, if you have talked to me, I think networking is one of the biggest pieces for you going into the job space. But let's stop talking about that. Let me hide this and bring our guests. Hey, Anna, how are you? Nice to see you.
Nice seeing you too. Hi, everyone.
Hi, everybody. So I'm so excited. Fun fact about us, we are both Colombian.
Yeah.
We both live in Vancouver. We both use glasses. Look at us. I forgot my Colombian earrings. I would have
It's fine.
loved
It's
to
fine.
have them. Yes. Anyway, I'm going to leave you. I totally forgot to ask you if you're going to do present.
Yeah,
Yes, if you want, let's start doing that, and I have to do
sounds
it to
great.
my side. But for all of you, please make sure that you have your questions ready. We are going to have a Q&A section at the end. So make sure if you are, oh, I see it. If you are, or again, in LinkedIn, YouTube, you can do it through comments. I'm going to be able to see it and ask Anna, okay? So every time that a question comes to you, boom, 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 write it down, okay? Easy. Okay, Anna, I'm going to be in the side. Leave
Okay.
you. Leave you by yourself. Okay, bye.
Bye. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. I'm Anna. I am a senior product designer and product manager. I live in Vancouver, and I've been with Cherry and Tech for a while. I was a mentor before, so I worked with a couple of squads, and it was so amazing. Today we're going to talk about like crafting impactful UX design portfolios. I know that you are preparing your portfolio or you already have it but don't know how to kind of lay out your case study or what else to add so that you can capture your audience attention. So we're going to go over that today. Just a quick agenda. So I'm just going to spend like 5 minutes going over, like 3 minutes going over a quick get to know me, just so that you understand like what was my background and my journey and what I do right now. And then we can jump into like showcasing our work. How do we showcase it? Why do we showcase our work? And also like some tips for you to impact the audience. And then we can do like just a quick recap, and the floor is yours afterwards. Like for all the questions that you have, there's no like wrong questions. So just like as Juliet said, write them down, and then we can jump into that later. So a quick about me. Um, my background is nothing related to design. I come from the modern languages space. I am a modern languages grad, and I was aspiring to be a translator and interpreter, so nothing related to design. However, I really love designing for like my studies, for my internship, and for myself. And I also love kind of like learning about the behavior that we had, or that we have definitely with some apps and products that we cannot live on the side. So it keeps us hooked to keep scrolling, or our behavior is definitely unique. So I wanted to learn more about it, and I really wanted to be in a space where I could be more creative. So that's why I started like look into like product design or UI UX design. And I am a learner, and I learn by doing and in the actual like work. So when I learned and I study, the way that I pivot into the industry was by freelancing. Freelancing, it was kind of like the path that helped me gathering all that experience, being able to work with clients, so that I could learn client management, time management as well. And also, as I was a freelancer, I was a sole designer. So I needed to learn to do both UI design and UX design and really own my work. So that I could like be confident and talk about like what I was learning and the experience that I was providing, or the service that I was providing. After doing a couple of years of freelancing, I then moved into a part of a team with a company from the States. It was within the dating industry. So it was an opportunity for me to kind of explore this industry. I was able to start working cross-functionally. So I worked with developers, and I was able to work along the CEO in terms of like prioritizing features, and like what we wanted to build based on the product testing that we used to do, and also the user research. In here, I did the end-to-end design process. So I was able to see my work being used by people. And as designers, we definitely love that feeling, being able to see how people are using our products, or the designs, going over the experience that we created. So it was amazing to be able to have that experience. And then I moved into a different environment, that it was an agency environment. And that was with Area 87, also an agency from the States. Within an agency, or the agency, I could work within multiple industries with clients that wanted different products. So this was a great opportunity for me to see what was the industry that I wanted to go into, and what I really love doing. And within an agency, you are going to be able to work with different team members. And I was able to work with other designers, which is a great experience, because you have a set of skills, and then the other designer may have a different set of skills. So we my colleagues and we definitely leverage our skills, and it was great to kind of learn from my colleagues. And in this space, it definitely gave me the opportunity to collaborate with my product manager. And by doing this, it kind of helped me see that I wanted to also learn more about product management, learning about the importance of all decisions that I took in terms of design, how it was going to affect the business. And that's why I decided kind of learn more about product management, gather experience throughout that bootcamp, and also creating a product, not as a designer, but as a product manager. And it helped me blending both set of skills. So not only product design, but product management as well. And all that experience that I gathered throughout my previous work, it helped me landing on my job at the moment at Lever.ai, which is a company from Vancouver, and is within the Fintech industry. And I knew that when I was working at Area 87, I knew that Fintech, it was an industry that I really wanted to go into. And I am right now in that industry. I'm working with Lever in terms of doing like experience design, product strategy, working with the CTO, thinking about like what are the next features that we're going to launch, the next product that we're going to create. And this is like 0 to 1. Sometimes there's nothing created, and there's tons of research, tons of like thinking about how we are going to do the product, and how we're going to implement it, how we're going to design it. So it's great. It's a startup, so it's a fast pace, but it's the place where I'm constantly learning. So that was kind of a quick get to know me. But now let's talk about showcasing our work. So first of all, why do we showcase our work as designers? We have a resume, but we use Figma to work, right? And sometimes Figma doesn't allow us to kind of be creative in the way that we want to show our work. So that's why we create maybe websites, or we create an interactive PDF. Um, but the reason that we create or like showcase our work is the first of all, like, we need to prove that we're capable of doing the work, and we do this by highlighting our design skills. We need to highlight as well, like, the problem solving skills that we had during our projects, and we also show the creativity, like, what we did, like, in terms of visuals, what was our kind of like creativity in terms of like the interaction that you create, or like the experience that you create. And we do also showcase our design process. So design process, it could vary depending on the product that you are developing or you are working on, but there's always kind of like a phase of discovery, research, validation, design, and then fully like testing and iteration. But we need to showcase that as well. We also showcase our work because we want to communicate what is like the value that we bring into a team, what sets us apart from other designers, what is our professional brand, right? So there's tons of designers right now in the industry, and when you're applying to a job, you are competing with all those designers. So you need to communicate. We use our work or our portfolio to communicate that who we are as designers, and why we could be a great asset to the team. And then a portfolio is definitely a good way for us to track our growth and development. We do this by curating and presenting like past projects. It definitely allows us to like reflect in our progress, and this is definitely something useful and important to showcase, because as designers, we're constantly learning, we're constantly growing, and a hiring team or a hiring manager really wants to see that you are somebody who looks into your work and reflects upon it. And if you could do something different, you would explain why would you do things different, or what do you learn about working on that project. But knowing like why we showcase our work, it's important now to know how we can tell that story. And there are different ways that you can tell a story, but definitely, as I was saying before, there's kind of the design process that you're going to communicate. It starts with discovery and research, right? So definitely the first thing that you need to do in your case study, for example, is to define what's the problem that you're going to solve. Like, clearly set the stage by communicating what's the problem, why do you think that that's a problem, and also you can just communicate some validation in terms of if you did some research before on why is that definitely a problem, why is that problem an existing problem and is worth to looking into. And then you can just show your research. So if you did user research, you did some user interviews, just explain what do you do and how do you kind of investigate and validate that that was definitely something that it was worth looking. After you do all the research, after you do all like problem definition, you then start thinking about like, okay, how we're going to solve it, right? You outline your process, you explain what are the challenges, and also that's where we're going to show not only like the final design, but you can also display some wireframes, some sketches, in a way that it shows that you as designer, you don't jump right into Figma, but you just grab pen and paper and start like thinking through the different like screens, the experience that you want to provide, and also the way that you're going to organize the elements, like the UI elements. And this is like a great way, like using visuals is definitely a great way to kind of communicate that journey. And then the third part of how do we tell a story with our case studies is highlighting the impact. You're going to hear me a lot saying the impact and metrics in this talk, but the reason is like recruiters are looking for that. Hiring managers are looking for that. And that's the best way for you to definitely kind of show that your impact, like how do you measure that impact? And we're using that with, we're doing that with metrics. So like, if you have it, like share measurable outcomes. How do you prove that the impact of your work, it was like measured? It was maybe you help increasing the engagement, the user engagement, or you help in terms of retention, or how do you help, or how do you solve that problem that you identify at the beginning? And also a second part of that kind of closure of that case study is talk about your personal learnings in terms of what did you learn about working with in this project. If it's already concluded, like what are the next steps? What do you think, like foresee for the future? What would be like the future improvements? Or if you could talk as well, like what would you do different? Remember, this is something that definitely is going to kind of provide value within a team, because you are often doing some like retros and saying like, I would do this different because maybe like, and then your reason, or next time we can like do this in a way that is going to improve the way that we work, or is going to benefit our work and product development. So I know that you have seen this, but in this case, like the product design cycle. So it goes like definitely from the discover and the research that we do. Then we sat down and we communicate with the team and we start strategizing, we brainstorming. And after that, we jumped into design and do our magic with our design work. And then while we are designing, sometimes we can definitely talk to our team members, and we're talking about like what could we do here different? Is this really kind of going to help you? Let's say you're talking with the sales team. Is this going to definitely help you kind of selling more, or talking to your clients? Or in terms of if you're working with development, use this step to validate your design concept first before you put a lot of effort into the design, and then it ends up into like we need to change it because we're not able to implement this. So really talk to your colleagues, your other team members, in order to get feedback and iterate accordingly. You can also do some testing. Let's say if you don't have easy access to users at this time, use your colleagues that are not as involved into the design process or the project, and use them as testers. So you have at least some feedback, and then you can reach out to your potential users. So you have a variety in terms of like feedback and data. So after you test, definitely it's a good time to iterate based on the insights that you found out during the user testings. And then when you iterate, you are ready to launch. But when you're like launching the project or the product or the feature, it doesn't end there. Like after launch, we definitely need to look into how users are using our product. Is it going to be like, is it intuitive enough that for them? And if it wasn't, why? So we started looking into the way that they interact with the feature or the product, and then we start gathering data, because we need to evaluate and then iterate based on that data. So it's a whole cycle, and the like all of the design decisions, just keep in mind it needs to inform the business outcome. So as designers, we definitely want the product to be great for our users, right? But we also need to take into account how our design decisions are going to impact the business, because the idea is for the business to grow and scale and use the product to do that, right? So just keep that in mind. And then we have like some tips to impact our audience. Some tips that I can provide for you today is definitely, first of all, understand who is going to be reviewing your portfolio or viewing your portfolio, and tailor the content accordingly. So in this case, if you're applying to jobs, definitely a recruiter is going to see your portfolio for the at the very beginning of the process. So they may not know all the jargon that we use or the technical language. So keep it simple, but in a way that you definitely explain and show that you have like the knowledge. And yeah, just know who's your audience. And also, when you are showing your portfolio, you only have 6 seconds to catch their attention. And if you didn't catch it, then they will move to the next portfolio. So really think about the different ways that you can catch their attention. It could be by being creative and maybe like include some interactions or animations in your portfolio, or if it's through information, like clearly communicate what, for example, sets you apart as designers. What do you bring into the team? And if you want to catch their attention throughout your case studies, what you can do is definitely provide an overview. So as a recruiter, definitely I'm going to receive tons of portfolios, and I'm not going to be able to read throughout the whole case study. So I just want to know if you're good for the job or not. So a case study or review provides that information to the recruiter. So you can explain what's the project about, what was your role, who do you work with, if you worked as part of a team or you were like kind of the sole designer or lead designer. Also the skills that you did. So if you was user research, user experience, user design, what was those skills that you did, like product management, or let's say user interface or information architecture. Those skills that you did throughout the whole project, or that you had throughout the whole project. And then most importantly, the impact. They want to be able to see, without reading the whole case study, what was the impact that you had in this project. So with this project, sorry. So use some metrics, explain briefly like what was the final impact. And through, like, if you have this overview, then if you capture their attention, they may want to really go through your case study. And just another tip for the case study is follow structure in a way that be clear and concise. You don't need to explain everything that you did, but be more critic in terms of like what do they need to know for them to see that I'm able to do the job, I'm capable of doing the job. So yeah, this is like what, like, communicate who you are as designer, what skills you bring into the team, what makes you unique, what sets you apart from other designers in the industry. If it's like regarding, let's say you are pivoting from another industry, you definitely have transferable skills, so communicate that. If you want to, let's say, blend a product design or UX design with another set of skills, so like product management or development, or a little bit of code, communicate that. Don't be afraid of saying like, I am not only just one designer, but I can blend both set of skills and use that for doing my job and for thinking through the different solutions and be able to collaborate with the corresponding a stakeholder or colleague. And for your case studies, like, definitely tell a story. Talk about like the challenges. It's okay if it was challenging, but most importantly is that you communicate how do you overcome that challenge, and try to try to think about different solutions. So it shows your problem solving process and the impact, of course, of your work, and what were your learnings as well, like what do you learn from working in that project. And I know that as designers, we're going to end up with lots of projects, but be critic and curate your projects in a way that you definitely choose what are those projects that are going to showcase that you qualify for the job, that you are an expert in the area, and that shows your the breadth of your skills. So what you can do is, for one project, you can showcase, let's say, your UI design skills, and you show everything that it's like it has to be with UI. So your sketches, your mocks, your iterations, your prototyping skills. How do you choose the colors? Why? And then for another project, if you did more user research and more user experience design. So showcase like your user research, competitor analysis, the information architecture that you did, some sketches as well, because like, let's say you need to always do some sketches to understand like what's going to be the final UI and how that it's going to link without the whole interaction or experience. So choose those projects and define what are the skills that you want to show for each. And then when you are thinking about the visuals for your case studies, think about like, not everything needs to be visual, but be like balance it. So what you can do is use some visuals in terms of like choose a final design, because that's what they want to see as well. But they also want to see the process that got you there into the final design. So what you can do is maybe showcase a wireframe with the final design and talk about like the iterations that you did, if you needed to adapt, why. So it shows definitely your adaptability skills. And then as I said before, like show your key achievements. What do you achieve with this project or with this product? What was the impact? Use metrics if you have it. Sometimes we don't have metrics, but definitely our work is measurable. So start thinking about that, how you can incorporate these metrics into your portfolio as well as your resume. And most importantly, don't be afraid of experimenting with your portfolio. So as designers, our portfolio is a work in progress, and we should do this and start iterating in our portfolio every time. So don't let that your creativity is like just contained. Be free and be free to experiment and like be creative, because our portfolio is kind of our personal product, our professional product that is going to help us selling us to the community or to different like companies. So just to recap before I leave, and then it's up to like the floor is yours. So for crafting impactful product design portfolios, you like what we really need to do is show our like full skill set and prove that we qualify for the job. Communicate what set us apart as designers. Grab people's attention in seconds and tell a story that they really want to kind of know more. And the way that they want to know more, like the way that you can tell more about that story, is for them to call you into an interview. Communicate what was the impact of like our work, and definitely use metrics. And then be creative and enjoy the process. And like creativity is infinite. So just continue being creative and enjoy working on your portfolio. Thank you.
I'm coming. I always forget to like, I need to come really fast. Thank you so much. Love it.
Of course.
I have a question here for Jay. And then I will ask, I'm doing on the wrong side, sorry. The questions are here. Thank you so much for this, but let's ask, okay. So Jay's asking, can we skip the part of the impact and reflection?
Short answer, I wouldn't recommend it, because that's the way that they are going to know what was, like, at the end, what was the impact, like what do you what was the outcome of the work that you did. So I wouldn't skip it. I would say that that's definitely the second most important part of your case study. And you need to use also metrics and things in your resume to communicate, like what you did and how do you measure your work within the company, or like the job that you did at the company.
I think a question that I can kind of link here with Jay is, okay, I'm a designer that just finished my boot camp, or I just learned by myself. So maybe I haven't had the chance to work in a real project yet. How do I show the impact if I haven't done if I don't have real users using
Yes,
my
yeah.
product?
No, and that's okay. Like, everybody started like that, right? We started like that. We didn't have like that information. But you, when you're working on a project, you know what is the problem that you want to solve, and what could be the impact that by solving that problem it could have in the user. So maybe think about, like, you can communicate, let's say, by maybe adjusting the experience, how it's going to impact on the way that they experience the interaction, like they experience the product. So there's a way for you to kind of explain that if you were iterating, or you were designing something, what could be the benefit of doing that design into the problem that you identified at the beginning.
I feel like a good one here too is, and I mean, I feel like when we are doing like a personal project, a passion project, we are going to have people around us that are going or could be our users.
Yeah.
So we have the opportunity to do a little more research and like usability of our product, something that's sometimes at work we don't have the chance at the
Yeah.
space to do that is interesting. But I feel like when you're in a personal project you will have the chance to do that. So I will like welcome people to find users, test their product a little more. I feel like sometimes we get with that final high fidelity and okay, it's good to go,
Yeah.
I'm done. So I feel like that's a good one, kind of linking with the same question that Jay has about the reflection. What could be like a good reflection? Again, in a space where I'm not working with in a cross-functional space and there are not you like real users. What could be like good reflections there?
A reflection, it could be, um I would say it's more personal in terms of what you could have done better, maybe dedicating a little bit more time in terms of, like, user research or user interviews and gather more data, or maybe iterating a couple of, like, more times into the design, and really exploring maybe some design concepts. So what would you do different if you have the opportunity to kind of do the same, like, project again? And you can also include in this reflection what do you think that are the next steps, and yeah, what could be a future improvement. If you have the time to work in the future, what would you do?
What I love about this part again, the impact and reflection is when people is seeing your work and they're reading about the impact that you have done, even if it's not again a real project or product, and the reflection is thinking, oh my goodness, this person is critical about their work.
Yeah.
Look at that. They were able to show and find some impact in a product that is not real at out. So it's like you already showing that you can do the impact without the real customers and clients. And I feel like that's such as powerful. The same as the reflection, to be
Yeah.
able to be critical of yourself and say, hey, I suck at this. I could do it again. I could do it better. because that's at the end of the day, the people that you want to work around is like people that could be critical about their work,
Yeah,
and people and designers that can say, hey, I can improve, I'm curious.
exactly.
So a good way of saying for you to, or for someone saying I'm a curious designer, is asking these questions and showing
Yeah.
that you have these questions. So that's a good one. Okay, a question for Asaf here. So how do I showcase working in agile delivery style? So I imagine that Asaf is a designer and they work in an agile environment. How do we showcase this in a portfolio?
Yeah, you can like talk about like for example, as designers we work under sprints, and sprints could vary in terms of like 2 weeks, 5 weeks, depending on how do you define the sprint in the company. But agile is definitely explaining what was the beginning of the process, and then iterating like when do you test your designs, do you use users, or as I was saying, like you can definitely use your team members, because if you have the opportunity to work as part of a team, you're going to end up working with not only designers or people in product, but people in marketing, people in sales, customer service. So you can display those insights and the feedback that they provided, and why. Let's say if you needed to iterate based on that feedback, why you iterate. So you just need to explain what was like the agile part in terms of if it was a part of a sprint. Who do you work with, like the stakeholders, and how do you manage like the whole process in terms of when you were designing until everything was implemented, and then after implementation what happened. um, so there's no like this is the only way to show that it was agile. Is a way that you again tell this story and to say communicate that it was under a certain time and you needed to do the whole design process during that time.
Yes. And I mean, again, it's all about, yes, how you're saying, how you tell the story. That's going to be the most powerful part. And are you showing these case study to different people to for them to get the perspective or your story and what you're trying to tell others? Because sometimes it's so easy. I mean, we did it ourselves, so when we put it in paper, it's like, oh yeah, this is so clear, and it should be, people should understand what I did and not. But I feel like we always need to remember that we are not the user of our own case study. It's
Yeah.
going to be different people. And something that I've been recommending to some mentees is, are you showing this? I always say the parents, but are you showing this to your parents, aunts, or people that doesn't have to do anything with tech? Do they understand
Yeah.
what you did and how you did it and what you learned? And if people like they are not in tech are able to understand your process, your strengths, and what you did, is like sold. Yes, like
Yeah.
because that means that pretty much uh, the other users are going to be hiring managers, uh, designers, that the hiring designers are going to understand your process really clear and really easy. I'm going to ask next a question from Jonathan. There you go. Personal recommendations for a platform for their portfolio.
On the portfolio. Um, so far, what I have used is definitely my first one. It was UX Folio. I think that all designers should start with UX Folio, but it gets to a point where you want to kind of personalize it a little bit more. So what I did, it was definitely using Framer, and Framer has tons of templates. Even like they are free or you can pay for one, and they come with different interactions. So if you are kind of your forte is not animation or like that interactivity, you can definitely leverage a template, and you can personalize it like tons of in Framer. I have heard like people using Webflow as well. Wix, but Webflow is more popular as like in our industry. But I have also seen that people they don't want a website, but they create a PDF, and they are creative in that PDF, and so you can use the tool that you want. Just make sure that, again, you tell a story, you showcase your work, you sell yourself as a designer, and yeah, that is able to, like, is readable, and people are going to be able to go through it and learn more about your work and you.
Love it. I mean, I have seen people that use Notion, but I feel like it's such a
Yeah.
hard way to sell it in Notion because it doesn't have that readability that you want for a portfolio. So you always, I feel like, need to remember who is going to see your portfolio. Is this the best tool to showcase my work and what I do? And I know sometimes, like, again, having it in a website when a domain is expensive, yes. So I feel like then you get creative around like a PDF or like a Figma presentation.
Exactly.
So it's like, how do you get creative, and more importantly, how you show your story and your strengths. um, I'm going to ask a question that I feel like is always so interesting, because you see it in a lot of portfolios for new designers coming out of like boot camp, and is the use of every single framework that can exist. Yeah, it's like, I learned how to do personas, boom. I learned how to do X and Y and Z, and I put it all in my portfolio. When to use a framework and how to showcase it in a case study.
Yeah, this is linked to what I said in like the tips, part of the tips. Um, you don't need to explain everything that you did in just one case study. Just be critic and choose what is that case study is going to, like, what set of skills that is going to show. Like, if you definitely think that that project you did an amazing user interface, and it's really like the visuals are really catchy, and you needed like to think about like the user interface, how it was going to look like, what you did to achieve that that design, then choose that project to be and to like to showcase your UI skills, and just explain like, for this one, I know, like, for sure, for you to end up with your like final designs, you needed to know who was your user. So that's fine, like that's entailed into the story, but focus on the skills that you want to show. So show your wireframes, show your sketches, show the, like, if it was, if you thought really about color theory, show why you chose those colors. So everything regarding UI. um, but if you see that another project, it was more in terms of user research, you needed to talk to users, you gather a lot of data, you needed to go through the data and kind of categorize it, to inform your design decisions. You did not a lot of user experience design, then choose that project and kind of do that framework of how do you, like, if you did some computer analysis, who were your competitors, how do you do that computer analysis, what was the kind of your ideal customer, what were you looking for, like in terms of behavior, their needs, how do you identify those needs, how do you validate all those assumptions through user interviews, through user like research. And then as UX designers, you definitely need to start thinking about how you're going to architecture all the information that your design is going to have. So it's a good project or a good case study where you can showcase those information architecture skills. So I would say use the frameworks depending on what is the set of skills that you're going to showcase with your project, um, and just be critic and differentiate.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, because sometimes it's like they want to show that I can use everything and I have done it all. And yeah, is I feel like it's so hard to choose, but I feel like we come back to here to the question of Jay and what you just mentioned is what kind of impact? Yes,
Yeah.
I'm using personas because this is going to help me um, to showcase for stakeholders how we are connecting with these type of exactly users. Yes, and I feel like for me, and I feel like, and if we go back to work and what we do at work, we don't have time to come up with every single framework. Yes, we're going, most likely we're just going to use little pieces that are going to help us to communicate with our team and again, different stakeholders, our design process and why we ended up choosing this decision. And for me, this is a clear one. I mean, we don't use personas that much at work, but we are doing a new matching process at work. And we needed to tell our clinical team, we work with counselors and different practitioners, how to tell that team that we have two type of users. One user that or client that I will qualify myself into it is like, oh, I know what I want for counseling. I know exactly what I'm looking for. I don't need anyone to ask me questions. I don't need you to hold my hand. That's one. And the other one is like, I'm brand new in counseling. I don't have idea what I'm doing here. I don't know what I want. I don't know what I need. Please hold my hand. Ask me questions so you can show me. So we have these two personas to help us to communicate these to the clinical team. So that's why we use the personas, because it's impactful in how we're going to communicate. So again, how you communicate in and how you use it is going to be really powerful. These have given us some space for more questions. Okay. Here, okay. For Darshis, I'm breaking your name, sorry. Hi, Anna. What are the steps I have to follow while making a case study? Do I need to put it on a website or in a public domain like Behance and Dribble? I feel like this kind of goes back a little bit to Jonathan, but yes.
Yeah. So when you're making your case study, first of all, think about the story that you want to tell. I keep repeating, but it's basically a story that you're telling your audience, and what is the information that you want to communicate in a way that it shows that you can do the job and that you are an expert in your area. So that's the first thing that definitely you need to start thinking about. Then you can worry about the layout. So when I am working on a case study for my portfolio, I don't like to jump right into the website, because I feel like sometimes we constrain too much to what we currently have, and we kind of think thoroughly in terms of like the information we want to communicate. So just grab pen and paper and just do kind of a bullet point structure where you say, okay, I'm going to what was like the project, I'm going to talk about what was my role, just briefly mention it, who did I work with, the impact that my work had, and then I'm going to maybe showcase my UI skills. So for showcasing my UI skills, I'm going to show my designs, my mocks, my sketches, talk about a little bit more about iteration. Why did I iterate? Did I do user interviews? And what was like some feedback? And then the impact and the reflections that you're going to add. So that helps, and then you can jump into your website and just work on that. And for your second part of your question is like you put in a website. It's really up to you. Like if you want to have your own website, go ahead, like use Framer. You just need to buy your domain. And I know that Google, or like I think it's a Squarespace, because they bought that. It's like $17, but for a year. So if you are able to get your domain, go ahead and create your website and just like place all your case studies there. But designers also use Dribble, Behance, and there's another one that I don't remember. But Dribble is very popular to showcase more UI, like the UI design, like the designs, and it you can just like write down a little bit of the description about the project, and then you can take the users to maybe like your website. So if you don't have maybe like the time to create the full website, use these tools or use these websites, Behance and Dribble.
And I feel like this comes back again to the different places that we want to display our work and how we using it maybe again to send people to our portfolio. But I have here something too that I've been thinking and I've been talking with a lot of the mentees is, let's say that I'm applying for a job A. yes, and applying for a job B and C. I mean, people is applying to hundreds of jobs. And then for job A, they want to see how good I am in my UI skills and my design system and creating components. Yes. On my job B that I'm applying, I hope that I can remember all of these things. But job B is they are applying for a job that is like an end to end, that they want to see all my UI, UX process. Yes. And for C, I'm applying for a job that is more research focused idea. What do I do if my portfolio has all of these jobs in a way? Yes, like we create a resume that is exactly to the job. Yes, we go to the resume, we see a job A, we adapt the resume for job A, and then we send the same link to job A, B, and C. Yes, I feel like this is kind of like scary because we cannot showcase the strengths exactly for each of the jobs. So I feel like I've been suggesting people to do a little more of like the PDF, or I call it like a pitch deck kind of idea, where if I'm applying for job A that is about UI, I'm going to do a pitch deck, a PDF, or like a presentation deck where I showcase what I want people to see on job A. Yes, that is maybe 2-3 case studies where I show how is my process of developing a design system, a brand, and how that goes into my UX job. For job B, I do another presentation deck where I showcase maybe 2 case studies in this case, where I do end-to-end process and how I work with different stakeholders, and for C again. So I'm more leaning towards these nowadays because you can be more explicit, like the same way that you will do with the resume, and the same way I've been using more my portfolio as like, if you go and look for myself, Juliet Fajardo, you will see well, you won't see anything because it's not existing at this moment, but you will see all my case study regardless of the kind of work that I wanted to show. I don't know, what do you think about this idea?
Yeah, definitely like the pitch decks are useful. I am the opposite. Like I really want the people to see that I have a breadth of like skills, and they can like see the different projects that I've been working on. However, there's going to be a point where you need to create your like pitch deck when you are interviewing, because as Juliet said, like if the job is more regarding like user research, or let's say they are looking for a user experience researcher, then you need to talk about the project that you work on that align with those skills that they're looking for. So by creating the pitch deck, definitely kind of helps you just be ahead of what is next in the full hiring process, when you're explaining and talking to the hiring manager or the panel and explaining why you did in your previous job. So yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good idea actually.
Yeah, and I mean, and I feel like this is a different topic now, but I feel like if you are presenting your work, please do not present it on your website. The website is not a presentation space.
Yeah,
Uh,
no.
People do a lot because, oh, I have my portfolio in a website. Let me present it in a website. Again, we are always want to showcase our skills by showing it. Yes, I feel like this is a big difference between UX designers and developers. Developers, hey, can you create a blah blah blah, and they do boom, they create it. We do not have that. Yes, we have to showcase our skills in a different way.
Yeah.
Okay, a question from France. Sorry, I
Fabrice?
just get all the all the names. Is one project enough for a website portfolio?
um I mean, if you only have one project, because you haven't like had the opportunity to work on a different one, um, make sure that that project really like communicates who you are as a designer. However, we like often definitely recommend if you are not able to be part of a team, let's say, for you to have the real experience, as you mentioned before, like there's personal projects that we can do, and we are doing them for ourselves, but it's good to kind of showcase different projects because it shows our set of skills. So it's okay if you only have one project at the moment, but keep it growing, because one project is not going to be good enough for when you start interviewing or getting into those interviews that you want.
Ooh, and I feel like this is a good one too. Is your portfolio a case study in itself?
Yeah, 100%. Like it's a case study always in progress that we need to maintain and we need to iterate on, because it's basically our like it's our resume, it's our how do you say, like, yeah, our resume, the way that we sell ourselves as designers and experts in the area or the industry. So keep it like iterating. And I know that sometimes, I don't know about you, Julie, but when we are working and then we need to focus on our portfolio, it takes time, because it's like, okay, I need to continue designing.
Yeah.
But we just need to keep in mind that that's our product, our like case study, really. And like we need to maintain it, and we can do it like per quarter, working on something regarding our portfolio, so it doesn't become like a hassle, or like or an issue for us
Oh my
to maintain
goodness,
it.
yes. And I was going to say, I feel like we are always judged, and like people is looking for our skills and seeing how we are as a designers in our portfolio. So when you have your portfolio, you are being judged in your UX skills right away as we open it, as like every time where you dine it, as how you using the UX writing that you have. Like everything should be thoughtful and intentional, like the same way that you will do when you are working in a project.
Yeah.
Like you're doing your research, you are testing it, you have different ideations, you test it again, you see what people is saying. So I feel like a lot of people go into like, I need to create a portfolio, let's do something quick so people can see my work. Is like you're missing a big opportunity to
Yeah.
showcase your work by creating a great portfolio piece. And yes, Anna, I feel like thinking about a portfolio is like, oh my goodness, I have so much work to do.
Yeah, but we
Like,
need to, right? Because the designer that created that portfolio maybe a month ago or like 6 months ago is not the designer that I am right now, because I grew and I gather more skills and I or perfect my skills. So I want to showcase that. So that's why it's an in progress case study.
I love it. I know. This is always so painful.
Yeah.
I have a good trick though. I feel like at work, let's say that I finish a project, I usually create like a presentation deck add for work. If this is like work time that I'm using to create what I just work on it. And usually I use that as a great started for my case study for my portfolio. So um, it's good to show at work what you have been working on. I feel like sometimes at work they just see our final, beautiful,
Yeah.
high fidelity designs, and they don't see what we have been working on. So at work you can kill uh, working in that skill of presenting and creating presentation decks for work and showcasing your storytelling. There is no more questions. Thank you. And we're at time. So thank you so much, Anna. How people can find you?
Thank you. Yeah, so you can find me here at Cherry and Tech. You can find me as well on LinkedIn at Anna Maria Hall. And I do ADP list as well, so you can find me there. I'm going to start opening new sessions. So yeah, you can find me there, and
Love it.
looking
Yes.
forward to
Maybe
seeing you
some
there.
people, yes, maybe some people here don't know about Cherry on Tech. Cherry on Tech is a volunteer organization. We empower underrepresented gender, women, non-binary, and trans folks to get into tech by the power of a tech squad. Right now, what you see in this It is the job readiness support space. So 6 weeks where we have different guest speakers talking about different things of getting ready for the job readiness. Next week, resume and LinkedIn optimization. I would love that. I need that. Everybody needs that.
Yeah.
Yes. Anna,
100%.
thank you so much. Have a great
Thank
day. Have a
you
great
for
weekend.
having me. Have
Bye.
a great weekend.
Anytime.
Bye.
Bye.